Hey, I'm Mike Baccarello, and today we're going to take a look at two methods that Joe Pass used to harmonize melodies for his chord melody playing as well as his chord soloing. So let's take a look. This sequence comes from Joe Pass's Chord Solos book, which is a book you should definitely have in your library if you don't already own it. The book's only like 15 pages, but it's full of great chord licks and ideas based on changes to standard tunes. This sequence comes from the transcription based on the changes for Days of Wine and Roses. So here's the first line. So let's take a look at what's going on there. So first thing, let's identify what the melody is. So we have A, B flat, C, D, C, A. Now because this is based on the changes of Days of Wine and Roses, it's over the first chord, and the first chord's in F major 7. So this line illustrates the first concept we're going to talk about, which is basing your harmonization around the chord tones of the melody. So the A is the third of the F major 7, B flat's a non-chord tone, C is the fifth of the F major 7, D is another non-chord tone, it's the sixth, and then we're back to the fifth, back to the third. So we have third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 5, 3. Now what we're going to do with that is we're going to find voicings that have those notes on top. So we're going to look at the third and the fifth. So if we can find a voicing that fits the third in the top voice, we'll be good to go. So in this particular voicing right here, this is a third fret on the fourth string, and then fifth fret across the first three strings. There's our third on top. Now let's look for the fifth on top. Now we could there's a bunch of different voicings that are available. We could, do some drop 2 voicings, but the voicing that Joe Pass uses is a very common voicing. It's a sixth, or an F6-9 voicing, and it's this shape. So we have the third here on the 7th fret of the 4th string, the 6th on the 7th fret of the 3rd string, the 9th on the 8th fret of the 2nd string, and then the 5th on top on the 8th fret of the 1st string. So this is a really common voicing. Now we could technically use any F major 7 voicing that has the 5th on top. There's that one, which is basically an A minor triad. We have the 10th fret, 9th fret, 10th fret, 8th fret. We could do again this drop 2 voicing, 7th fret, 9th fret, 6th fret, 8th fret on the top 4 strings. We could do this kind of thing, 5, 5, 6, 8. Any of these will work because it's enough information for the F major 7 and has the 5th on top. But we're going to stick with what Joe uses. So those are our 2 voicings. 3rd on top, 5th on top. Now the thing Joe does here is he doesn't harmonize every single note. You could harmonize every note of a chord melody thing, or you could not harmonize every note of a chord melody thing. It just depends on your taste and how dense you want the arrangement to be. As Frank Potenza always used to tell me, one's not better, it's just different. So what Joe does here is he holds the voicing down and then plays the next note. He goes 3rd, 4th, then he jumps up to the next voicing, the 5th, the 6th, and then down 5th, 3rd. So he's only harmonizing the notes that have a chord tone on top and then letting the chord ring while he plays the rest of it. Now we can take this to other voicings. So here I'm playing the F major 7, typical drop 2 voicing, 8th fret, 10th fret, 9th fret, 10th fret on the middle 4 strings. And then with my pinky I'm going to the 4th. I'm going to this, I got the 12th fret, 12th fret, 12th fret, 13th fret. Again, another 6-9 voicing. For the 5th on top. And 6th. Same exact phrase. Now you could harmonize this melody in an infinite number of ways. You could harmonize every single note. You could use thirds or seconds or fifths, sixths, fourths, sevenths, octaves. Any of these things are valid. And there's even more things you could do. You could do just a bass note and melody note. There's an infinite number of things you do. But what we're looking at now, I think, is a really good way to kind of get started harmonizing melodies, is to find the chord tones in them, and then base your voicings around that, and then fill in the other notes by letting them stand on their own. And this is a really good way to kind of get started with harmonizing melodies. Now for the second line, this is a Joe Pass classic. He uses this line all the time. Now this follows kind of the same kind of situation where I'm going to play a series of notes with a voicing held under it, and then I'm going to play, another voicing. So the first part of the line, what we're doing is we're playing over A minor 7. We're starting on the 4th, and we're walking down to the flat 3rd. Now our voicing, we're kind of basing on this drop 2 voicing. So 7, 9, 8, 8. You can play the voicing with all 4 fingers. I know a lot of people do that, but in this case we can't because we need our pinky to be able to be mobile. So we're going to use a bar here and flatten out our second finger. And I'm going to start here with my pinky on the 4th or the 10th fret, the D. And I'm going to walk down a half step. It's a C sharp, which is a major 3rd, but because it's a passing note, it doesn't really matter. We're going down to the 3rd. And then we're going down to C major triad. 8, 8, 9. I'm doing that while holding the voicing of the chord out. And then we're jumping down to the 2nd, the B, and down to the root. That's our line. And so what he does for the 2nd here is he harmonizes it with an A minor 7. Puts this here. And then for the root, we're actually changing chord to the D7 here, so it becomes the 5th. We're playing a D9 chord. 4, 5, 5, 5. And this is a 2-5. This is A minor, D7. Now the harmonization here creates a slight contrast to the previous one, where we have a couple non-chord tones being harmonized, but they're functional notes over the chord. And so what I mean by that is, over a minor 7 chord, the 4th sounds okay. Doesn't clash, and we're leading down to the 3rd. That 9th also sounds great, and we're leading down to the root, or the 5th of the D7 chord. So in this case, we're harmonizing the other notes with the chord of the moment, rather than just relying on chord, non-chord, chord, non-chord like we did the previous thing. And this is a great 2-5 lick you could throw in anywhere. So I hope you enjoyed that lesson. It's a really brief overview of how to harmonize melodies, but it's 2 methods that you could use to harmonize melodies and get started. There's an infinite number of things you could do, and Joe Pass used way more methods than just this. So no one person uses only one thing. There's a million things you could do. But everyone's got to start somewhere. And this is the way I started by working on this kind of stuff, was just start with chords and a melody note and trying to put them together. So thanks for checking out this lesson. Keep practicing. See you next time.